Before we get to our show, here is a podcast we think you're going to love.
Hey, creepy people.
This is P&W Haunts and Homicides. I'm Caitlin.
And I'm Cassie.
Together, we explore stories of the paranormal and true crime throughout the Pacific Northwest. For each episode, we do a tarot reading to help us gain some insight on the topic as we share the facts of the case and our interpretations. You can find our episodes featuring true stories from infamous cases such as the misdeeds of Boeing, as well as lesser-known true crime cases like the murders in Tunnel 13.
As well as our spooky stories from Pike Place and Ravens Manor on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and anywhere else you'd like to listen. Have a creepy-ass day.
Ba-ba-da-ba-da. It's time for Perhaps It's You, your favorite, unofficial, Unsolved Mysteries rewatch podcast. I'm Liz.
I'm Samantha.
And I'm feeling peppy because this is the last episode of season 7.
I was just telling Liz that I almost didn't believe her when she told me.
She says almost. She flat out did. I was like, good news. This is the last episode. And she was like, yeah, right, bitch. But I was right.
We're going to be doing season 7 forever. That's how it felt like.
It has been more than a year. There were some delays, so it has been more than a year that we've been talking about season 7. Which that's 21 episodes. It's not so bad, you know.
These seasons are extremely long.
Some podcasts only do like a few episodes a year, you know.
Huh. You don't say. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah. If you think about it, not every podcast is like weekly or we're trying to be twice a month. Not every podcast does that. Some podcasts do like 6, 12 episodes a year.
It's true.
So we have those fuckers beat.
You know what? It's all about perspective.
It really does. Actually, there is some exciting news. This might have been true for a while, but I completely forgot to check until recently. That the website Listen Notes has a ranking for podcasts of what % of podcasts each podcast is in, and we are currently in the top 1%.
I don't want to know how they come up with this number. I'm not interested in their methodology. I'm sure this is 100% true and accurate. And we're amazing. We're amazing.
Supposedly, this is very well respected, and this is the metric everyone uses. So,
all right,
we are in the top 1%.
No notes. No.
The last time we checked in on this, I think was over a year ago, and we were in the top 1.5%. And I was like, "Wow, wouldn't it be amazing if we could be in the top 1?" And then I never thought about it again. And then the other night, I remembered. And looked, and we were in the top 1. I don't know how long that's been true because I have not been paying any attention to it, and I literally forgot we ever talked about that. But now we're in the top 1% of podcasts, and I have to say that feels pretty good.
It does.
And I think it's kind of just that we've stuck with it, and we haven't quit yet. Look, this is including a lot of podcasts where they make 3 episodes, they realize it sucks, and they never do it again. They don't immediately get some mattresses or a bunch of free shit and they go, why are we doing this? We could be doing literally anything else. Mm-hmm. But no, we are stubborn. And
some of us realized that
bright.
But they kept going for reasons that are not clear. But
yeah, I mean, I don't think we ever were like, wow, world fame, here we come. We were shocked even 5 people would listen. So this is pretty good.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm still kind of bitter we never got the free mattresses, but I actually didn't think we would get them. I just thought that was funny. But I am sort of still okay, but where are my mattresses though?
We've reached the top 1%. Where are our mattresses? I assume they should just be delivered automatically.
Yeah. Do you want me to tell our very loyal, very sweet listeners what sort of mattress they should be sleeping on? Because that is buyable. My mattress recommendation is buyable, but nobody's even tried.
Yeah, we've made this very clear. We can be purchased.
We offered to sell out before we even talked about Unsolved Mysteries. That was first up. So I'm waiting. We did recently get contacted by a certain men's grooming product about sponsorship, and I realized that I forgot to ever get back to them, but I was also kind of I don't think that's really Can you imagine?
No, and I can't actually.
Like, yeah. It's funny. It's funny to imagine. I'll let everyone else imagine us plugging those products so people can have nice hair-free balls. But I don't know why exactly they were like, yes, this is the podcast.
This is the podcast first.
But they wanted so much like information about our demographic, and I was like, we just don't have this kind of data.
We don't really care or know how to even find that if we did.
I think you have to like pay to get it, and I was like, yeah, right. That's
Probably.
not gonna happen.
Yeah. Fuck if I know.
I'm not paying to get that information in the hopes of telling people to shave their balls. That's not gonna happen. So anyway, that's pretty important info. The other thing I was gonna say is that you can start sending stuff in for the next zine. I haven't made a due date for that yet, but if you want to send things over, perhaps it's you podcast@gmail.com. I will not just delete your emails. If you have things you would like to be in our next zine, which I think will be called Why Is This So Good? The headline of one of our greatest reviews. Yeah, send it over. So things we've had in the zine before. Recipes, games like crossword, world search, that sort of thing.
Cross stitch patterns,
craft
coloring sheets,
projects, anything that can be printed on paper, really. I feel like saying something that would be like in a children's activity book is a good thing to like spark your creativity of like, what sort of perhaps it's you thing could I make? It could also be something you write. You could write a poem or like a short essay or, you know, whatever. The possibilities are really endless. It just has to be something printable, preferably printable in black and white, because as much as I would love to do a full color zine, it's just cost prohibitive. So, most of the things in there, we do like a color centerfold fold out thing, but most of the things in there are going to be black and white. So yeah, if you want to do a drawing or whatever, if you have come up with a recipe for the Robbie Stacky pie,
ooh,
Robbie Stacky's cookies, I don't know,
porpoise
of justice flan, sure. I don't know.
Write a Mad Lib.
Yeah, we've had stuff like that. I think it's always really cool and fun. It's really frustrating to put together. So, but it's been long enough that I've forgotten that. So now we can start.
This is how it works. Design a meme.
Yeah, memes are good. Like a cartoon or like a little comic strip.
A little comic strip
would be great.
That would be great.
Like, how did Robert Stack get his solid gold yacht? I want to know.
Yeah, make that a little comic strip.
Okay, so the last piece of updates I wanted to cover was on our last show. We were talking about, look, do we recommend getting Perhaps It's You tattoo? No, but there has been some interest, and so I put it to the group for suggestions.
Oh.
And here are some of the suggestions. I wasn't sure if the listener considering getting this is in the Facebook group. So I wanted to share these.
We need to make sure this gets to them.
Yeah. So listener Lucy said Robert Stack writing the Porpoise of Justice.
Brilliant.
It's because of the way I phrased the question, which was a tattoo you shouldn't get, which I sort of just meant like any Perhaps It's You tattoo. My dad took that very literally, and he suggested an orphan train tattoo that goes around the waist with sad, big-eyed children looking out the windows of a cartoonish train car. And I said that was the worst possible option. He was like, you said a tattoo you should not get. Like, true, I did. But that is like the worst tattoo I've ever heard of in my life.
True.
And I like to tease Mac that if he was on How Far Is Tattoo Far, the tattoo I would give him against his will, against his knowledge, I guess. If you're not familiar with how that reality show worked, I like to tell him that the tattoo that I would get him was Bernie Sanders' head on Papa Smurf's body. Which is a terrible, terrible tattoo. And sometimes I think I incorporated that it was like holding a like Rick and Morty sign or something, just like horrible. But I think this is even worse, honestly.
The orphan train going around your whole body.
And then
With
listener
sad children.
listener Alex said that under the tracks of the train it could say chronic lower back pain.
Okay, you've made it better.
Yeah, listener Nora suggested a magic rock that someone has spray painted nature's whimsy across from it. And then Amelia Earhart is flying in the background, and the orphan train is going by beneath the train.
That's like a whole back piece.
Yeah, a lot of these seem quite large. And I said, I don't want the magic rock defaced. So then she suggested replacing it with those twins that represent nature's whimsy, right when that one guy pulls his groin at the gym and the other twin feels it. Which I think would be
so specific.
I think that'd be a great thing to put onto your body forever.
I think someone needs to design one of these for the zine. I mean, that's what this is all leading to.
Yeah. Listener Shauna recommended Mothman and Bigfoot frolicking through a field together, and then Stack is looking over them like the Teletubbies' son. Which is very good. Very good. Listener Mary Jean suggested Mothman and the Porpoise of Justice sinking a yacht.
Okay.
And then from the deck of the yacht, Robbie Stacky is throwing a bottled up ghost.
Okay. This is combining quite a few perhaps a few moments.
But then a mustachioed man is weeping over an empty treasure chest. She did say that's a full back.
I mean, it has to be.
The yacht is named the Joffrey because it's sinking.
Oh, I love it.
Listener Adela suggested getting the classic old-timey font, but it says the cackling has to stop. I think that should be like across the whole chest.
Yeah, I love that one.
Or you could get Robbie Stacky, but he has moth wings, and under it says "got boring." Those are just some suggestions.
These are all brilliant options.
They're all the craziest thing that I've ever heard. They're all beautiful.
Robert Stack as the Teletubby son is really just beautiful.
It really is. You could get a tattoo of me and Samantha, and we're both holding hands with Robbie Stacky, and then Robert Stack as the son is looking down on us. And also, I'm a ghost, and Samantha has moth wings.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And, the Nightcrawler is there.
Why would you make them? Okay, this was great until you included the Nightcrawler, my nightmare.
He's just like looking at us. No, the Nightcrawler is watching TV, and the TV says Lost Loves on it.
Okay, I like that.
Okay, well, today we have a very special episode to talk about at the end of season 7. This is a special report.
A special report.
Yeah, they act like this is like the news.
No, like, this is not a news broadcast.
Get your grandma, sit her down. She needs to know about this. It's the mystery of alien beings. And I sort of feel like this episode must have left a big impression because a lot of times when you bring up Unsolved Mysteries, people are like, oh, that show about aliens and ghosts. And you're like, it's actually mostly about grisly murders. But
this is what people remember.
Yeah, this is what people remember. So I wonder if this was like extra popular or got rerun a lot, or it left an impression on the culture.
It sticks with you. It's funny how aliens and ghosts and things that probably don't exist we can convince ourselves that we're like more scared of them than actual murderers.
I think, maybe it's a way of the mind dealing with the grim reality of like violence and crime.
This is deep. Someone's essay for the zine should be on this.
About how you're like, wow, I don't really know what to do about violence. Like, particularly, like, if you start thinking about the fact that women are being insulted in their own homes by people they know, it's extremely grim. So you're like, but I think the real concern is the chupacabra. And then you just like focus, like Unsolved
Keeps you
Mysteries.
up at night.
Unsolved Mysteries has given you an out to like, don't think about that. I know that was real dark. Let's not. Let's focus on the Nightcrawler. What the fuck?
It's true. I think it's true.
Okay, so there's a lot of what this is. I found this annoying as a podcaster only that this was not really divided into separate mysteries. It's like one long special, but we kind of broke it up.
Yep.
But there's a lot of waxing poetic in here, and I think it's just like padded out.
Curious how it was broken out perfectly to give me Roswell.
Okay.
It's just interesting is all I'm saying.
I did say sorry, but yeah,
You did apologize.
Yeah, we do have to talk about Roswell again, though it is a new witness. Okay. So Robert Stack opens up by saying, "Who are they? Where do they come from? Are they real or imagined? In recent years, hundreds of people have come forward with startling accounts of abduction by alien beings." And then I just wrote down lots of drawings of aliens, great music.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting that he's like focusing on the abductions when that's just like one part of this, because we talk more about sightings.
It's one part of it, but is the creepiest part.
I did specifically think, we'll get to it, but there's this abduction story that is played with harrowing music with the like voices of these guys that are hypnotized, and I was like, oh, this would have really freaked Samantha out.
Yeah,
because I'm just thinking of little kid Samantha lying in bed so worried she's gonna get abducted by aliens.
It's true.
And I was like, it's because of shit like this. It's just terrifying. Okay, and I don't know why, but at the beginning they show, I think it's just because this reenactment is so good and funny. They're like, we're showing this twice. So they show this reenactment of naked dudes in this blue room. You can't see anything. It's network TV. There's convenient like mist fog in the genital region.
They're from the waist up. It looks like they're in a sauna, truly.
And it's like they're in a very blue sauna, which is apparently what being on an alien spaceship is like. And he's talking about how he was like looking around, seeing these like other dudes that he knows naked. And Mac, of course, just happened to walk through the room at this moment. And he was like, yeah, guy, it's okay to be gay. Doesn't mean you're abducted by aliens.
Okay, yes, we'll get to it. I was kind of wondering if this was just, some fellas having an erotic experience in the woods and can't deal with it.
They can't deal with it.
They can't deal with it.
We're going to get back to that. But they did introduce it early for some. It's just padding, but it's also funny that it's like the silliest part of the whole thing. They're like, and by the way, we're going to be talking about naked men. All right, Robert Stack. The first full story we get into is the account of Ed Burns, who one day was driving. They don't really say when this was, or at least I didn't catch it. But anyway, one day he was driving along, and suddenly there was a bunch of static on the radio. He goes to change the dial, but when he looks up, he sees a large craft in the sky. He describes it as a triangular chevron ship. And he uses that phrase, chevron, several times, which I just
chevron ship is a tongue twister.
Just to confuse all podcasters ever, he like insists on saying chevron ship over and over again. But it just kind of means it's a V. I don't know. He just likes that word, I guess. And the back of that chevron had to be as large as a football field, at least. It was one solid piece of a chevron shape.
Chevron-shaped ship.
The chevron-shaped ship. As we've discussed, Americans can only measure things in football fields, particularly men. That's the only known, we don't have the metric system. We just have like degrees of football field.
I love when this is used because I don't have a fucking clue. I mean, okay, it's big. I imagine a big thing, but I really cannot picture how fucking big a football field is because I've not been around that many of them. Shocking. I know.
I could kind of picture the one at my high school, but I never went to a football game. But I can kind of picture how is that. I don't know if that was like regulation size. Is it perfect? I was gonna ask a question if a high school football field and a professional football field are the same size, but the truth to that question is I do not give a fuck. So do not get in touch and tell me. I don't care. The other day, I tried to watch the show Friday Night Lights, which
What?
everybody will tell you is really good and not really about football.
Okay.
And the thing is, though, it does include football.
I mean, it would have to.
And my brain fucking tuned out so fast and I missed like very important stuff that was happening. And I had to be like, wait, what? And it's just because like as soon as the football game started, no, my brain just like shut down. And then I was like, oh, that was actually really important. Like I can't just like not look when football's happening. So I don't think that's gonna work for me. Anyway, it was as big as a football field, everybody. It was the same shape and size as described. Oh my God. As described by many Hudson Valley eyewitnesses. We've talked about the Hudson Valley case before. It's a very compelling, incredible case because there were so many eyewitnesses. And they also talk about this sort of V shape. That shape was first recorded by UFO historians in 1947 when a pilot named Kenneth Arnold claimed he encountered 9 mysterious flying objects during a search and rescue mission over Washington state. This is actually when the term flying saucer was first coined in a newspaper headline about the incident. It's amazing that it became so popular. This newspaper article also led to a rash of UFO sightings all over the country. Another, what Robert Stack calls impressive encounter, which I just thought was funny, was when a wave of UFOs swarmed over the small town of Lubbock, Texas in 1951. I feel like this is something we've talked about before too. A college student named Carl Hart Jr. took a series of photographs, which we see. It's a bunch of lights in a V. Like it literally could be anything. I don't know. And again, it's the same chevron shape described by the Hudson Valley eyewitnesses. So Robert Stack wants you to ask, is this a coincidence? Wishful thinking? Or part of an unmistakable pattern that stretches back hundreds of years? So now this is going to be kind of hard to describe on a podcast because they compare a bunch of like old-timey art to recent photographs to show you how long this phenomenon has existed, but I'll do my best. Robert Stack shows us an antique German woodcut that depicts what was called a, quote, frightful spectacle that occurred in the sky over Nuremberg in 1561. And it's literally like a giant sun and a bunch of like air. It's just like the sky is full of nonsense. It's like there's lines and chaos and who knows, right?
Must be UFOs.
Must be UFOs. If anybody could get me one of these woodcuts, it looked pretty sweet. I would love to put that up in the podcasting room. I'm sure that's like a really rare item, but do your best. Could it be that the random chaos of lights and symbols depicted here is the same phenomenon that was photographed over the skies in Canada in 1974? And then they show a picture of what could be like fireworks or maybe like the northern lights. It's just a sky with a bunch of lights going on. Like, I don't know that that's paranormal in any way. Like, maybe it is. I wasn't there. Now, this I found kind of interesting. He shows us a Renaissance painting of the Madonna and Child, but then zooms in the background and there's like a blob in the sky. And
with a little man staring up at it?
Yeah. Okay. And I was like, that could be anything, that blob, Robert Stack. But then he points out that there's this tiny little man like in the landscape on this hill, like looking up at it. And I was like, okay, that is kind of weird. And I wonder if that's supposed to be like, you know, I don't know. You think about like the star and baby Jesus. Maybe there's like other astrological phenomena that coincides with the birth of Jesus, but maybe it was a UFO.
Maybe the UFO that dropped baby Jesus off in that manger.
Wow. Cool.
Pulled up, parked, spit out a baby. Flew
I'm
away.
suddenly so much more interested in Christmas. Could I get a manger scene that has like up at the top where the star would be?
A
like
little UFO. Those got to
Yes.
exist. Those absolutely have to exist.
Is that really sacrilegious if I get that? Well, don't answer that. Okay. So, okay, this is to show you that UFO sightings are not restricted to the modern age. And I'm just going to point out that, yes, they date back to a time before people had eyeglasses. And also, they date back to a time where people were like constantly drunk because water was often not portable, right? And it was
Sure.
safe. It was safer to drink booze. So
Antipsychotics were not invented yet.
yeah, also people like had like severe lead poisoning because they were drinking out of like lead chalices. You know, everybody had like the type of syphilis that's not treated and makes you go insane. So I don't know that saying like, oh look, back in 1561 people were seeing UFOs. I was like, how credible is anyone from that time? But whatever. There was also strange globes seen over Basel, Switzerland in 1566, which just looks, I don't know, they're just like circles. Who knows? Again, this person could have eaten a psychedelic mushroom and not realized what it was. Um, and this is compared to a photo taken over Salem, Massachusetts in 1952. And I just wrote down also shows blobs. Great note, Liz. We now see a French coin minted in the 1680s, which does seem to have a UFO on it. That I thought was weird.
Yeah, definitely.
It looks like the underside of a UFO. I guess maybe it's supposed to be some sort of wheel, and there is a lot of like symbolic, importance with wheels, and it's in the tarot, and so I'm guessing it has more to do with that. But it does look like the underside of a UFO.
It does. It does look like one.
And Robert Stack asks if this could be the same object described during the 80s by that group of American airmen that were stationed in England, which is a case we talked about. I also thought those people were drunk. So maybe that's just my explanation for everything. Clearly, that's the only logical explanation, is that aliens just keep coming here, screwing stuff up, and then leaving. And only our old French coins remain, because now this astronomer Andrew Franconi is here to complain that it's what a coincidence that the UFOs never leave behind any quote picnic garbage. Which I get. Okay, he elaborates a little bit, like, oh, what an amazing coincidence. They never leave oil. There's never a fragment of the ship. Blah, blah, but he starts off by saying they never leave any picnic garbage. And I love the idea that the aliens come down, they like let out that long ramp walkway. They dramatically walk down the ramp, and then they lay out a little gingham cloth. They take out their picnic basket. And they just have a little snack. They put out a smorgasbord, they've had a long trip. They want to stretch their legs. They're going to eat some hummus. Like,
it's amazing. It's truly amazing. I love the idea of an alien picnic. I love the idea that they are really into leave no trace.
Yeah.
I think this is it. They just know to leave the forest better than they found it.
I was like, what a weird complaint that you're complaining aliens do pick up after themselves. That's odd. You're like, I wish they were litter bugs, but he was like, oh, I just wish we had something to test. Okay, sure.
Fair enough. I just think it's absolutely hilarious that his go-to analogy.
Where's the picnic garbage? Where's the recyclables? Huh?
Where are the empty cans of seltzer?
Yeah. Did they separate the compost or not? Like, he has so many questions. No, he doesn't. But he's like, does he know? Do the aliens know what type of plastics you can recycle in this area? Do they separate them out? Like,
I mean, they must, because they leave no garbage behind.
They leave no garbage behind.
They're very conscientious.
They're not concerned with our local recycling practices. They take all that stuff back with them and they turn it into alien space fuel. Like, they're not burdening us with their trash. And I respect that about them. Like, it's weird they leave the cows, though, right? The mutilated cows.
It is weird. But maybe that's just always chupacabras.
Oh, yeah. Good point. Okay. So yeah, this is Andrew. He's an astronomer. He has facial hair that goes beyond a mustache. So he like almost he has a mustache, I guess, but it like just barely with the tiniest hair connects to his beard, but he doesn't have a soul patch. He's like clearly shaving right under his bottom lip for some reason. And
Okay.
then the bottom of the mustache whiskers get real thin. Anyway,
Did you name it? I have a name in mind.
oh really?
A name came to me while you were describing it.
Yeah, what was that?
The Gentle Touch.
That's interesting because the universe told me that was named the Garbage Lover.
The Gentle Touch of a Garbage Lover.
That's it! That's it! With our powers combined.
The Gentle
Yeah.
Touch of a Garbage Lover.
Yeah, wow.
So romantic.
But at this point, Robert Stack's like, oh yeah, Andrew, you think that aliens haven't left anything behind? What about Roswell?
Oh, you're
Check-
right.
Checkmate! Checkmate, Andrew!
The litter bugs at Roswell.
And then we get Samantha's part. Sorry, Samantha.
All right, we're transitioning into my piece of this, which is talking about fucking Roswell again.
It's slightly different.
It is slightly different. I will say that is true. Although we get a Cliff Notes version of the original story. So we've talked about Roswell before. It was very detailed. And so we get like a little recap. And primarily we're hearing from someone who is still alive, who kind of experienced Roswell. This was Jesse Marcel Jr. He was the kid whose dad brought home the piece of alleged alien wreckage. If you recall, it was a piece of metal that did like non-metal things. It was said to have strange qualities and unusual tensile properties.
You could like bunch it up like foil, but then flatten it out, and it looked like it had never been smushed.
Right.
It was like,
and they couldn't cut it. They tried burning it. Like you couldn't damage it, which is like, how did this plane break then, or this UFO break then? If it anyway, I don't understand that, but
alien powers.
Sure. So this is our little recap, which was that Mac Brazel was the farmer whose field the UFO crashed in. He led the 2 Army intelligence officers to the crash site, one of whom was Major Jesse Marcel Sr. He primarily investigated air accidents. Late on the night of July 7th, Marcel loaded up his car with the unusual debris and drove it back to Roswell. But before going to the base, he stopped by his home because he wanted to show his family what he had found. At that time, Jesse was 11, Jesse Jr., and he remembered the strange material his father brought home. It was a fragment of an I-beam, which was covered in strange symbols and markings.
You have to compare them to hieroglyphics. You're
this is
required to by law.
Okay, well, Robert Stack says this writing could be described as Egyptian hieroglyphics, but not really. So that's helpful.
It's kind of they're pictogram-ish, I guess. The writing.
Yeah, I guess. So the I-beam was like a geometric configuration, but there were various designs. It was like violet and purple. And it like the writing was embossed as part of the metal itself. And years after this incident happened, Marcel Jr. says that they could talk privately amongst themselves about the possibilities of what it was. And they came to the conclusion that it was not of earthly origin. So then we hear from someone who is the wife of a person who claims to have seen the bodies of the aliens. She says that her husband told her that the beings were strange and not of this earth, that their clothes were metallic and weird or something.
No human could wear silver clothes.
It's true. It's true.
Think about it.
We're not allowed.
Think about it. If you think you've worn silver jewelry, you are mistaken.
You're mistaken. Only aliens can wear that.
Mm-hmm.
So in spite of circumstantial evidence, Robert Stack says there was no real proof to dispute the Army's statement that the wreckage was simply a weather balloon.
Oh, man.
So, but
that old story, I think we all know that's false.
And Unsolved Mysteries is here to prove it with a new witness.
I will say I found this witness to be pretty credible.
It's an interesting story for sure. So, for almost 50 years, the events that took place at Roswell and the official explanation that followed fueled suspicion of a cover up. The Air Force has always insisted that rumors of alien contact were just that, rumors. But new witnesses have continued to come forward claiming that the Roswell story was true. Of all the new accounts, Reverstack tells us that this statement was provided by a man named Glenn Dennis, and it's too compelling to be ignored. So the story is in 1947, Glenn Dennis was 22 years old and just out of college. That summer, he was working at a funeral home in Roswell. 2 days before the UFO,
What a life. Did he write a book?
He should have if he didn't.
The funeral home in Roswell.
So 2 days before the UFO story broke, Glenn received a strange phone call from the Roswell Air Base. So apparently, according to Glenn, the man who called him was wanting to know what size hermetically sealed baby caskets they had. And
Normal phone call.
and did they have specifically 3 feet 6 inches, or did they have maybe no larger than 4 foot? And they had to be hermetically sealed caskets. Very odd request.
Is the government aware that you can put a small thing inside of a larger thing? Like, it doesn't have to be the exact size?
No, it has to be the exact size. I mean, I can only imagine what you would think. So you're getting a call from the Roswell Air Base, a place where I'm guessing there's not a lot of children, not a lot of babies. And they want a baby casket. It's very suspicious. Very suspicious immediately. So that afternoon, Glenn was called to transport an injured airman to the Roswell base. When he arrived, he was surprised to find the base infantry surrounded by military police. 2 ambulances parked at the curb immediately caught Glenn's attention. I don't understand why he was transporting an injured person if that person was still alive, but whatever.
I think they did used to use hearses as ambulances.
Maybe. Maybe it's weird to him that there's already ambulances there. Like, why did you call me? But maybe
so that the person can lie down. But I'm also assuming that, like, people did not want to do that, so that practice stops. Like, I don't actually want to lie in the dead person thing on the way to the hospital. Thank you.
That would be very unsettling. So he says, I looked in through the ambulance and saw quite a bit of wreckage of some type. It looked like stainless steel had come into contact with a high degree of heat. He called it purplish or bluish in color. He said that he noticed one large piece of the wreckage did not look or looked like there had Egyptian hieroglyphics on it.
You gotta say it. You
have to. He says that the confusion at that day that I had that day was so great that I don't think anyone really knew what another man was doing. There was just people running around everywhere. According to Glenn, one of the officers told him not to tell anyone what he saw. He says that 2 military police came up to him and said, "Sir, we have to escort you back to the mortuary." And that's when he said, "Mister, somebody's picking up your bones out of the sand if you go starting a lot of rumors." So they're threatening him.
That's quite a threat.
Somebody be picking, I wrote it down exactly and then I stumbled over it. Somebody be picking your bones out of the sand if you go starting a lot of rumors.
Not your dead body, your bones.
Your bones. That is a good threat.
Yeah.
So
I'm going to say that to you later.
I'm going to be picking up your bones out of
Samantha, if you don't record this podcast right now.
So as Glenn was being escorted from the Roswell infantry by the 2 military police, a group of doctors stumbled out of a storeroom overcome by noxious fumes. With them was a nurse who Glenn recognized. Hoping to find an explanation for the strange events at the base, Glenn asked the nurse if she would meet with him. The next day, the nurse agreed on the condition that Glenn never reveal her identity. And according to Glenn, the nurse told him that she was ordered to take notes during an alien autopsy.
What?
Yep. So she says that they were doing a partial autopsy. There was a crash bag that was open.
Okay, why would you do you have an alien? A dead. Why would you do a partial autopsy?
Respect for the alien. I don't know.
I'm gonna say, I think in the interest of science, maybe look at the whole alien.
Do a full autopsy.
That's just That's just my 2 cents, though. I'm not a alien autopsy doctor.
It's true. It's true. So there was a crash bag, which I don't really understand since they were apparently dead. 2 very mutilated small bodies. They had large heads. Their eyes were set back. They didn't have earlobes. There was just 2 canals, like 2 long ear canals. And there were no teeth.
This one's very focused on the ears.
2 long. I mean, that sounds unsettling. Some bulbous heads with long.
They had like suction cup
Canals?
fingers. I wanted to hear more about that.
Yeah, we didn't get a lot of detail about the fingers, just the ear canals.
I was like, well, are they sticky? Can they like can an alien like climb up a
Ooh.
wall like a tree frog?
What else would you need such suction cup fingers for?
I mean, I guess.
I assume it's to climb.
Or to pick up your picnic garbage.
Oh, you're right.
Make sure you don't leave any trash around. You just whoop.
So she had claimed to see 3 bodies. She was adamant that none of the bodies were earthly in origin. Glenn never saw the nurse again. A few weeks later, rumors circulated that she had died in a plane crash after being transferred out of the country. Suspicious.
America, do better.
To this day, Glenn remains convinced that the details of her story are true.
What's so interesting about this guy is he just seems like the most normie guy. Like he's not
He seems
flashy.
very normie. Yeah.
He doesn't seem like someone who wants attention. I mean, I realize that's kind of an arbitrary whatever, but if you think of someone just like, I really want to be on TV, I would not expect it to be this dude.
He's not like a paranormal weirdo. Like he's like, I would not expect this guy to have this alien autopsy encounter story. I don't really understand where the fumes were coming from. If those were coming from the aliens.
It cut open the body cavity for the partial autopsy out of respect to the alien, and in the chest cavity were the fumes, is what I'm gathering.
I assume so. And
but like the fumes like billowed out of the hole they made.
What I didn't understand is like he showed up and they immediately told him to leave. Didn't they need his hermetically sealed baby caskets?
Yeah, I was kind of like, well, why did you tell him to come?
Yeah, you could have just come and picked up the caskets.
Maybe they didn't realize there would be such chaos. Maybe they didn't realize he would come at the same time they were doing the autopsy. I don't know. But they were like
communication breakdowns for sure after the alien UFO.
They really were like, get the fuck out. And if I was that guy, I would be like, you called me. I didn't just get onto this Air Force base unwanted. Like,
oh, and I think I didn't mention that the mortuary had like a contract with the base. So I assume if someone died there.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, of course they do. But yes, yeah. He was a regular vendor, I guess, to the base.
Yeah.
Because you know what? Sometimes they're out there picking bones out of that sand.
Yep.
This guy to me, yeah, such a norm. He seems like the sort of guy who's eating the same breakfast every single day.
Mm-hmm.
If like,
what breakfast is it? Do you think oatmeal?
I was gonna say 2 eggs, toast, 2 pieces of bacon.
That's a hearty breakfast.
He eats it every single day. He seems like the sort of guy that if like the can of Folgers goes up at his grocery store by like 5 cents, he's like outraged.
Yeah.
You know, because it's like everything is like very precise. He's like, I have my budget down to the cent and now you've ruined it.
I think you're right. Well, anyway, that's Roswell again. The transitions in this episode are very good because now we're like, well, where did the military take the aliens? If they had them, did they take them to Area 51? And that's what we talk about next.
I think it's funny that we have more theories about this guy's breakfast than we do about like the aliens. Which, by the way, no one brings up breakfast.
Is he paying for eggs in this economy, or is he switched to something else?
Well, first of all, that guy's probably dead. This is
Fair
from
enough.
a while ago.
Fair enough.
But who can afford eggs? Am I Marie Antoinette? I can't afford eggs.
Did he switch to Eggo waffles?
Oh, that's a good breakfast.
It really is.
Okay, yeah.
Does he put peanut butter on his waffle?
That's actually when I'm on TV, you're gonna go, that normie eats the same thing for breakfast every day, and that's pretty much what it is. So Okay, now I talk about Area 51, which is 600 miles west of Roswell in the middle of the vast Nevada desert. There's a top secret military installation. And Robert Stack tells us that it's been called the following things that I had like never heard. It's been called the ranch, and I was like, by who? The funny
By Robert
farm.
Stack.
The
Robert Stack
funny
made this
farm.
up right now.
If someone said the funny farm, I would think they were like in an old cartoon talking about someone taking someone to an insane asylum. I wouldn't think they were talking about Area 51.
Area 51.
Dreamland. I have heard that before, but I think it's confusing. I once read a novel called that many years ago. If anybody else
set in Area 51?
Yeah, it was. If anybody else read that, you know, get in touch. I feel like that is a paperback lost in time. Dreamland. Groom Lake, which is my least favorite one. Creepy.
Oh, I don't like it.
And most commonly, Area 51.
Its name.
Yeah, its name. The thing everybody knows it by. It doesn't appear on any map, though it can be seen by the naked eye from an adjoining ridge. The Air Force insists that Area 51 does not exist.
It's a shame no one knows where it is.
Yeah. We now hear from Jerome Clark, author of UFO Encyclopedia. And this really brought me back.
Wow, what a nerd.
I know. Well, first of all, I was like, wow, that book's probably terrible. But this really brought me back to my days spending all of my free time in Borders, as I did, that there was definitely this wave of books in the 90s. I guess because the internet was less ubiquitous, that were like the encyclopedia of such and such. And it was just like lists of terms, and like you could get that on like any topic. Just like those books for dummies, there was like the encyclopedia of UFOs or the encyclopedia of the paranormal, or not even stuff like just like literally anything. You could probably get the encyclopedia of the TV show Roseanne. I don't know. And I was like, oh yeah, I forgot about those books. Anyway, this guy, Jerome, tells us that aviation technology is tested there, quote, usually under the cover of darkness, to make it seem like way more creepy that the Air Force flies things at night. Under the cover of darkness, and that some of these flying objects match what people report as UFOs. Oh, yeah, obviously. Okay. Robert Stack tells us that skeptics will tell you that UFO sightings are actually military test flights, which is, you know, sounds a lot like something I would say. But some believe the military is actually testing alien spacecraft. Ooh. I know. So yeah, me, a person saying, hey, just because you saw a flying thing and you don't know what it is, doesn't necessarily mean an alien came from another world and like flew it around. Like obviously the military is going to build stuff and test stuff because their budget here is insane, right? Like we give them all of our money. Who knows what they're building and testing? All kinds of shit. But a cooler and more interesting theory would be that the government has somehow gotten their hands on alien UFOs and now it's just like flying them about, or maybe it's like working with the aliens to like
love it.
I don't know if anyone watched the American Horror Story. I know Samantha didn't because she has the misfortune of hearing me talk about American Horror Story a lot, but has never actually seen it. Sorry, Samantha. But they did a double feature season that was half something else. And the half that was, I think, called Death Valley was about like Area 51 and this. And it is some of the worst television I have ever seen in my life. So skip that. Oh my God, was it so terrible? Yikes. That's what I was thinking about most of the time. I was like, wow, I really wasted I think it was only like 4 hours or something too. And I was like, wow, I really wasted my life watching that.
Yeah.
Okay. But what we're actually talking about is this guy, Bob Lazar, who says he worked for 6 months on propulsion technology at a secret installation near Area 51. And from this guy talking, I was kind of wondering if Groom Lake is the name of this installation that's like in the same vicinity and not.
Oh, maybe.
But that wasn't really clear to me. But he says that he was told he would be working on something that was not jet or propeller technology for flight. And he was extremely interested because that's like his area of expertise or something. And when he got there, he found out, wow, it's actually extraterrestrial in origin.
Well, pleasant surprise.
Yeah. Like, oh, he thought he was doing, you know, I don't know, like, we're gonna try to build something. And then he got there, it was already built because aliens made it. And they were just trying to figure out how it worked. So they needed scientists.
Cool.
And according to him, the government is in possession of a few alien spaceships. And the one he talked about most was nicknamed the Sports Model. Worst possible name.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Why is the government just letting this guy walk around spouting this off?
Yeah, Robert Stack does tell us that skeptics will point out that Bob Lazarus is a fraud and actually has no scientific credentials.
Is that why? Okay.
So there's
because the Unsolved Mysteries would have us believe that this poor nurse was disappeared in a she died in a plane crash. But this guy is just on Unsolved Mysteries telling all the government's alien secrets. Okay.
I didn't look into Bob Lazar. I don't know if he has like a PhD in physics or some reason why the government would have wanted him to look into an alien craft. But it's also possible that he's just lying a lot. I'm not really sure.
Doesn't seem possible to me. No one's ever lied.
He invented it. Okay. So apparently the Sports Model is 52.8 feet in diameter.
Okay.
That's really all he says about it. Now it's
how many
like
football fields is that? Because
exactly. This is America. Use American measuring systems, aka football fields. Goddamn. Or tell me how many Rolls Royces it is. Like that goes back to another episode. Whatever. Okay, so this guy Bob tells us he witnessed a flight in the March of 1989. And that the bottom of the ship glowed a faint blue. He says it rose 20 to 30 feet, that the sound dissipated once it was in the air and it was completely silent. He said that it moved slowly this way and that way, and then they landed it. And then he said that it was pretty uneventful. Well, as uneventful as a flying saucer test can be. And that's when I really went, this guy's just a huge liar. This is like too well prepared. He was not nearly as credible as that guy with his egg breakfast I was just talking about.
Agreed.
But his story is corroborated by investigative reporter George Knapp, who tells us that he's found 24 other witnesses who worked at either Groom Lake or Area 51 in the 50s through the 80s. Like he's found people from different eras, and this includes people who have seen flying discs and people who worked on these tests, such as Bob. However, when Unsolved Mysteries asked the Air Force about Area 51, you'll be shocked to learn that they did not acknowledge its existence.
Wow.
Even though Bob tells us that he saw alien autopsy photos, but doesn't know when they were taken.
Okay. Well,
though I guess he did kind of also describe a partial autopsy. He said there was like a T-shaped cut in the chest and the it was like opened up. So
that's how they do isn't that how they do a regular? What makes it a partial autopsy?
I don't know. The legs were left alone. They didn't take out the brain and weigh it. I have no idea. I'm just making shit up. Because I think that's very funny that they would have the alien and be like, we don't need to study all of this. His family needs something to bury, folks.
We need something to put in the hermetically sealed baby casket.
Yeah. Show some respect. That's extremely funny to me. But that's where my notes end. There's a lot of Robert Stack like waxing poetic about the universe and talking about how things we used to think were fiction, we now know are true. So therefore this must also be true. Which is not really how that works. But I appreciate, keep an open mind. We don't know all the secrets of the universe.
Yeah, but Liz, people used to think that the planets revolved around Earth and not the sun. So think about it.
Except some people still think that. They're called flat earthers, and there's an alarming number of them.
I'm glad Robert Stack never knew about flat earthers.
Yeah, I'm glad he died before that, because that would have killed him.
Yeah, would have.
He would have met a flat earther and had a heart attack. Like, what? We're regressing. Do you know there's like all these people on TikTok that think there's like giants, that they like have footage of this giant?
What?
There's all these people that believe in fairies. Matt keeps talking about how there's like a portion of society that's like regressing to medieval beliefs. People really think that there's this footage of a giant and that the government like killed the person that took it and like is trying to cover it up.
do they know that these things can be faked?
I
You
don't.
you've seen it with your own eyes because it's on TikTok.
I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. If
I'm
you
glad Robert Stack isn't alive to see this.
people, if you have children, I really am gonna say you need to like take a look at what your kid.
Media literacy.
Yeah,
Do
yeah,
not believe everything you see on the internet.
yeah. It's
Media
really.
literacy. Yeah.
I was thinking last night actually about how in the mid '90s there was this big like killer bee scare
Oh yeah,
and
the Africanized bees.
Africanized
Racist.
bees. Yes, that these bees like as the climate got warmer, these bees were gonna like move more north and they were like gonna come and kill us. And we
Mhm.
had to watch out for these bees. There's like a TV movie about it. It was always on my local news, like a basically a bee watch. Like,
Yeah.
where have the bees gotten to? And I think that was like a very definitive moment in my life of just like you cannot necessarily trust information that is presented to you. Like that was not a threat. The bees never came
No.
and they're not a problem and that was never going to be a problem, right? So maybe an example like that could help explain to your child that the
Yeah.
government is not covering up that there's giants. I don't know.
When I was in school, I don't remember what grade this was. It was sometime in middle school or high school. In one of my classes, we had a unit. They passed out magazines or whatever. We had to pick an advertisement and then we had to dissect it and explain what if it was a makeup ad or whatever, like what they did, how they manipulated it
Mm,
and what they were trying to sell us and blah blah blah. And I think about that a lot because
that's really good.
recently there was all kinds of hubbub on TikTok about an influencer who like put false lashes on when they were trying to like sell mascara. And everyone was so upset because they were like, well,
That's
I thought
that's
she was
every
authentic. I thought she was authentic. And it's like, bitch, nothing about these influencers is authentic. They're trying to sell you shit. Like, of course it's manipulating. They're manipulating you. Of course. Of course. Like it's not your friend sitting across from you doing your makeup together and like giving you their opinion about this mascara. No, they're trying to sell you shit.
I know my mom did this unit. She used to teach 7th grade language arts, and she did this unit where you would go to this website about save the endangered tree octopus. And it had like shirts you could order and like links to donate and like all this information about like, oh my goodness, we need to save the endangered tree octopus. And it was like whether or not you would like look into it anymore to realize there's no
No
octopus
such thing.
is that live in trees, right? Like it sounds ridiculous, but the site like looked really legit. And so lots of kids would just be like, well, obviously this is real. So it's just like it's concerning.
We gotta get
It's concerning.
nothing you see, everything is being manipulated.
Ah!
It's not a giant.
There's a giant. And the guy that took that footage is dead now, Samantha.
Well, you're right. You're probably right.
And I have never seen a commercial for mascara in my entire life where the model was not wearing flick lashes.
Obviously.
Yeah, there's like your lashes don't come to like a perfect black line across the bottom of
No.
your lid.
You think your hair is gonna look like the Pantene commercial because you use Pantene? Like,
Yeah, mine does.
get over, like, grow up.
I'm like a beautiful horse.
Yeah. Well, that's only if you use that horse shampoo.
Yeah, you told me that was really no better than normal shampoo.
That's just normal shampoo. It doesn't really make your hair grow.
Wow.
All right, are we to talk about dudes in the forest maybe having a sexual awakening on mushrooms?
Oh my god, I almost forgot that there was that left to talk about. How could I forget?
How could you forget the way these actors are dressed in this reenactment? All right, so we've got 4 men: Jack Wiener, Jim Wiener, Chuck Rack, and Charlie
No.
Foltz.
What? Okay.
This is their names.
Listeners, if your last name is Wiener, I'm so sorry. I'm just really
Jack and
sorry.
Jim Wiener.
I'm sorry if your name is Jack Wiener. I really am, because kids are so mean, and I would not want my last name to be Rack, and I would not want my last name to be Wiener.
Nope. Best friends, Jack and Jim Wiener and Chuck Rack.
Oh my god.
are with Charlie Foltz.
Listen,
Kind
he's like got a normal name, and his last name isn't like titties.
Wanker or something.
Yeah.
So they say they experienced a terrifying encounter with aliens while camping in the Maine wilderness.
Huh.
It's taken the men years to go public. Each has been polygraphed, hypnotized, and their stories hold up.
Well, there you go. The end.
For years, Jack Weiner was disturbed by reoccurring nightmares. He told no one except his wife Mary. He says,
It's nice.
quote,
It's nice that he felt comfortable telling his wife. I'm glad they have. I am glad they have that.
I'm glad they have this relationship. He says, I was starting to have nightmares, terrible nightmares that I could not explain. I found myself in a very brightly lit room. I had no idea where I was or why I was there. To my left, this is the scene that this episode opened on. I could see my brother Jim, Chuck Rack, and Charlie Foltz sitting on some type of bench, and they were all naked.
Nude, all nude.
I was
Yeah.
wondering why they weren't helping me because I was like, I'm in danger. And while I'm trying to figure this out, I noticed this figure or a dark, shadowy type figure emerging from the light, a bright light in front of me. I would wake up sweating and breathing heavily and just in a state of terror and shock.
Wow.
This is quite the reenactment.
It's one of my favorite ever.
We haven't seen this many stealthily covered up nude men since the nudist colony.
Yeah, that's why it's my favorite.
There's no precisely placed garbage bags, I will say, which is unfortunate, but
The blocking isn't as creative as that one.
did you know Jack and Jim Weiner were twins?
Oh, stop.
Those kids came out and they were like Jack and Jim Weiner.
Stop. Do you love your children or not? Oh my god.
In 1988, Jim confessed that he too was haunted by the exact same nightmare. And he says that there's certain elements of the dream that were always the same. There was always some type of creature.
It seems to be the nudity.
They had an experience.
Which is fine. Which is fine. It's fine to have sexy nude dreams.
About your bros.
Well, yeah, but maybe I was gonna say maybe not so much about your twin, but talk about that with your therapist. It's the dream world is complicated.
It's true. So there was a creature. He had a feeling of being helpless, being violated, and then he would wake up in the same cold sweat, terror, etc. So in every dream, the twins. So this is a little. I feel like this might be some nature's whimsy. They're having this like connected dream.
Well, they both had this erotic alien experience as well. Is that really what nature's whimsy is? When you're out camping with your bros and you get abducted and violated by aliens, and then you can't stop dreaming about it? Is that nature's whimsy?
I think so. I think
If you don't know what we're talking about, you're gonna have to go shuffle through your podcast player, which should be Repod, and find our episode Nature's Whimsy.
So they met Charlie Foltz and Chuck Brack when they were in school.
We're not here to judge.
We're not. So the twins wondered if these nightmares could be connected to a camping trip 12 years earlier in Maine. So in August 1976, the four men spent 2 weeks in Maine's Allagash Wilderness. The Allagash covers thousands of acres in the northernmost part of the state. On the second night they were out, Jim noticed a bright object in the sky. I'm not sure. Did I write it down? Is this where they were lighting a gigantic ass fire?
Probably, yeah.
Which I think the aliens are just upset about this giant fire, this unreasonably large fire that they were having.
I mean, if we take the picnic garbage thing at face value, they're clearly concerned with our environment, and maybe that's why they're visiting us, because we're doing such a bad job of taking care of our natural world. So they probably saw this giant ass bonfire that we're not even using for like Viking funeral reasons, and they were like, "What the hell? This is wasteful."
Yeah,
think of the air pollution.
So what they had done is they had started this giant fire to mark their campsite so that they could go boating or like canoeing at night, they say. I don't know why you would do this, but this is what they said happened. So while they're out on the water, this light floats above them for like 15-30 seconds, and then it winks out. And it's like this, I don't know, this weird, there's like circles inside the light. It kind of looks like the center of a flower or something. I don't know. So they all saw it. And it just kind of like, yeah, it winked out, but it left them with like an odd feeling. Wasn't quite right, but none of them really dwelled on it. Chuck Rack said that while he was in the canoe, he felt like there was someone like staring at him, and so he looked over his right shoulder, and that's when he saw the large round globe of light.
Oh, that was
Um,
actually me. I was at a nearby campsite with
was it your face in the sky, like the Teletubby sun?
Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
No, I was obviously watching them with binoculars, just waiting for them to get nude.
Oh, okay.
It was
Yeah.
kind of, I know that's wrong. I've moved on. It's a little creepy. I confess.
I'm glad you've learned from this experience.
Yeah, exactly. No,
So,
everybody get off my back, okay?
so he looked over his shoulder and saw Liz looking at him through binoculars.
Going hubba hubba. Yeah.
So they actually saw the same light 2 nights in a row. And all of them.
Why would you go out the second night? Is that victim blaming? If I saw, I don't know.
I don't know if they were victims of anything. Well, I guess they think that they were abducted. They just didn't remember it. They're like, they blocked it out. I don't know.
I think if I went canoeing at night and I saw this weird, creepy light, I'd be like, guys, maybe let's not go canoeing tomorrow.
I mean, that would be what I would say, but
I'd also be like, why are we sleeping on the dirty ground? We have homes.
so they had some like missing time experience on the second night, where they they were on the water, and then the next memory was being back on shore, just staring at this bright object. So all 4 men agree that they were out on the lake for less than 20 minutes. The huge bonfire should have burned for hours, but when they got back, like their memory of coming back to their campsite was that the coals were like just like it had all burned down. It was just coals, which means that it had to have been longer than what they thought, which was only 20 minutes.
Oh, that was awesome. That was also me. I put out their fire.
I mean, you could start a forest fire.
Yeah, I was like, you're not even watching this fire. It could get out of control.
Yeah.
This is not safe camping behavior.
So they stayed out in the Allagash wilderness for 10 more days and never saw the light again. As the years went by, they told friends and family about the UFO sighting, but no one really believed them. And the men hardly believed it themselves. But then the nightmares began for Jim and Jack. Finally, Jim contacted UFO researcher Ray Fowler for help. Fowler suggested that the Allagash 4 undergo hypnosis with the trained hypnotherapist to recover details of the sighting.
I'm assuming he left a message on his answering machine, and the guy was like, Jack Wiener. Yeah, right. Another prank call. And so it took a while for him to actually get back to him because he didn't think it was real.
Probably. If you're a UFO researcher, you probably get all kinds of prank calls.
That's my theory.
So under hypnosis, each of the men experienced terrifying repressed memories of being abducted, and all of them, despite not talking to each other in between these sessions, gave similar accountings of what happened.
I thought this was the creepy part.
Yeah, because we just hear them like literally hypnotically recounting these stories while like the pictures that they drew, which were like very erotic, I'm just gonna say, they're talking about how the alien ran his hand up my leg, and we see this like photo that they had created, because the men like after in hypnosis or after, I don't really know, but they like painted and drew their experiences, and they're very detailed, and we hear them in like
they're good artists.
Honestly, they are.
They're good at rendering realistic things. Did all 4 of them like study art? I don't understand.
I don't know, but they all drew.
Their erotic alien drawings are surprisingly good.
Yeah, they are. So independent of one another, each of them drew illustrations of their incredible recollections. All 4 said that they were taken aboard the craft. The aliens forced them to strip naked and seemed to be conducting medical examinations. They took samples of the men's skin and body fluids.
They just wanted to know why they would just leave a gigantic campfire unattended without even a bucket of water. But they weren't going about getting that information the right way.
So I don't even know what else to say about this. So they had these hypnosis sessions. They discovered
They're
that they all
creepy. They're
recalled the same
creepy.
horrifying events. They are extremely creepy.
It's just like someone being like, "The alien's face is so close to me.
They
I
s-
don't know why.
they scrape your arms and your chest, your legs and your thighs.
I don't know what they want.
One
I'm
guy says, "I just
screaming."
want to be back in the canoe."
Yeah, that's pretty funny.
So
That's
they
me
were.
never.
You never want to be in a canoe.
It's not really an urge that I have, no.
Mhm. So they also took polygraph tests and passed. And my response to that is just, well, yeah, they believe that this happened. Like,
Robert Stack said they passed easily, Samantha.
okay, well, that doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, people act like those tests are not stress tests and that somehow they get to like absolute truth on like a philosophical level and
I
aren't just
mean,
like
yeah.
measuring if people are nervous or not.
I
That's
mean,
why they can't be admitted to court. They're
I believe, I don't think these guys are making this up. I think they believe that they experienced something, and then they believe that these memories they recovered during hypnosis are real. And so, yeah, of course they're going to pass the polygraph test. I don't think that that's compelling. We get some expert that talks about how like a lot of these repressed memories that people come up with in hypnosis sessions are eerily similar to like movies of alien abductions in pop culture.
yeah, because the movies are so accurate.
Oh, is
Samantha.
that it?
Yeah.
Is that it?
Yeah.
This is not evidence, but anonymous comments on unsolved.com under this
That's actually the
this
only type
article.
of evidence I accept in the court of Liz.
Many comments are saying that they later admitted that they were taking drugs in the forest, and
You
that they
don't
made up the alien
say.
abduction. So
Well, maybe they felt like they were abducted by aliens, but
they could
again,
have. They could
it
have.
was actually mushrooms, which was my explanation for one of those old timey things.
Are these dudes going into the woods for 10 days and not bringing drugs?
Yeah, I mean,
Let's
they,
be real.
yeah. Are they going into the woods for 10 days and not experiencing each other's bodies? I mean, why all the nudity? Okay,
You can decide for yourself.
if they made, I kind of don't get why they made up the alien abduction part, and then why they went on TV to talk about like seeing their friends naked.
Okay, so Unsolved Mysteries wiki has like a little blurb.
Why do that? What was the point?
I don't know. So Unsolved Mysteries wiki has a little blurb, which is in a 2016 interview, Chuck Rack admitted that the abduction part of the story was made up and that he went along with the narrative for financial gain. However, he does admit to seeing a series of strange lights over a period of a couple days during the camping trip.
Yeah,
This
while
doesn't
he
mention
was
anything about
high.
drugs, but the comments on unsolved.com do. So take that for what it's worth.
That is an open and shut case as far as I'm concerned. Gavel, gavel.
Yep.
Okay, that is the end.
The end, not the end of the episode, and the end of season 7.
We did it. We did it.
We did it. Should we rate it?
Well, I think we have to.
Okay, mysteriousness.
You know what? Let's go a thumbs up.
We have a lot of questions, so I'm gonna say mysterious. Yeah,
I don't have a lot of answers, such as why would you do this? Why would you make up these lies?
It's a mystery.
Why would you claim that you went to work for the government and you saw a spaceship fly around and then sit down and it wasn't even that exciting? Like, why would you say that?
We've all got questions.
Yeah, I'm gonna say mysterious.
Mysterious. Reenactments.
You know what? Very good. Thumbs way up on this one.
Thumbs way up.
This blue sauna alien room is really top.
Also, you know what? The actor they got to play Jim Weiner, he's kind of ripped. So I didn't not enjoy seeing him half naked in a blue room.
There you go. So good casting as well.
Yeah.
What's the next
Thumbs
category?
up. Fashion, which also I'm giving a thumbs up to because of the outfits they put these dudes in for the forest. Why are they wearing like the headband thing that like.
Because it's the 80s. They
Yeah,
have
but
to wear
it's
it.
not
They
like
have to.
Woods attire. I don't know. It's very
Ronald
weird.
Reagan's you won't remember this because you weren't born yet, but in the late 80s, Ronald Reagan sent terry cloth headbands
To everyone.
to everyone, and you had to wear them.
Okay. You know what? In that case, it's very realistic, and I give it a thumbs up.
Yep, thumbs up. I think this is going to be thumbs up across the board, actually, because Robert Stack waxing poetic about something he clearly thinks is bullshit is my favorite.
My favorite thing. It's my favorite thing.
So,
At one point, they put him in front of like some big satellite dishes, which is very funny. What does that have to do with anything? I don't know. But they're like aliens. Here you go, satellite dish.
Someone hasn't seen the movie Contact, which actually I don't think has come out yet when this is filmed. But obviously, you need the satellite dishes to like listen to space and hear if there's any aliens out there going beep bop boop. Or whatever.
You know what? You're right. You know what?
Whatever aliens say. So that's why. That's what it has to do with it.
Okay. Well, thumbs up.
Satellite dish equals space equal alien equal naked sauna time.
Beautiful. What could be better?
Yeah, that's my idea of math right there. So let's rate this episode.
All right. You know what? I liked it. I feel like it's a classic. Like it's
a classic.
It's good.
I want to. I didn't love it, but it does give us a lot to ponder.
Agreed.
So is that a 4? Is that a 3.5?
I want to say it's like a 3.75.
You're so right. Yeah, so this gets 3.75 out of 5. Robert Stacks, obviously 5 being the best. We haven't given a 5 in a long time, I don't think.
Oh, we need another Magic Rock episode.
Yeah. Maybe one day.
Yeah.
I was going to do a couple recommendation updates.
Yeah, take it away. I don't really have anything to recommend this time, so
it's the two segments combined now and recommendation updates where I update on some past recommendations. You may or may not recall that I once recommended the show Alice in Borderland after the first season. Not too long ago, the second season came out and I watched it. Thumbs down.
Oh, dang.
So I think I retract my recommendation, honestly. When I watched that first season, which is one of those shows where you have to play games or you die, I was actually really on the edge of my seat and intrigued. I just really didn't know what was going to happen next. It seemed like very unexpected things that would happen in the show, and I found it very intriguing. But once we got to the second season, it seemed much more predictable, and it was just a lot of like a guy is shooting a gun and you have to get away. And then the actual so you knew there was something like out of the ordinary, it was like something paranormal or something was going on. And when you actually get to the end and you get the explanation, hated that.
Dang.
So I think I'm going to retract my recommendation of that show, though it does have a very good looking cast. So that's something to keep in mind. And I was very intrigued that first season. I just don't think they could keep it up, What else should I talk about? I still use the Witch Wit Baby body butter.
Oh, nice.
Love it. Still my favorite. I've gotten a couple of their scrubs and they get hard really fast.
Okay. Yeah, I've experienced that.
Particularly if they get wet, which I feel like they're going to because they're in the shower.
Right.
But I feel like they don't have enough oil or something in them and they just become like hard as a rock and then you can't get it out of there and they're kind of expensive, so that's really annoying.
Yeah, I haven't bought a scrub for them since the one I had that did that.
Yeah, so I'm going to say don't get the scrub. Honestly, don't get the soap. Their soap is bad.
Yeah.
But I do really stand by the body butter, body oil. High quality products. Just and some of the scrubs have been fine, but then some of them have been really not okay. And it's kind of a lot of money to gamble with. I don't know. So I'm gonna say that's my update on that. We did a giveaway a little while ago in our Facebook group for books I had found at like estate sales and stuff. And to enter, the requirement was you had to say your favorite recommendation. And I was surprised by how many people said Find a Grave, which
Oh,
is
okay.
a website and app. One of my very first recommendations that is literally to find where people are buried.
Yeah.
And it's also really helpful if you are in a cemetery, you know that person is buried there, but you're like, okay, where? Like,
Yeah.
you know, particularly a large cemetery, you're like, well, I'm not going to go around and look at every grave. Like, where do I go?
Right. Or
And so,
people who like can't visit their loved one and want a picture can
yes,
go to Find a Grave and request a photo, and volunteers can upload it, and then they can see what the grave looks like.
you can also leave like little memorial messages for people. We at least used to sponsor someone that had been on Unsolved Mysteries on there. So I just wanted to make sure people were aware of that recommendation that maybe had not listened to our very early episode, since apparently that is the recommendation from me that people use the most, surprisingly. Like, okay,
Cool.
Find a Grave.
That's a good
And
recommendation.
yeah, I think that's my updates. Have
Those
you
were
had
some
any
solid updates.
good Do you want to tell people about the Peepsy? The
It
Peeps
was
Pepsi?
disgusting.
That could be
I know
your
everyone is surprised, but the Peeps Pepsi was so disgusting.
you have an unrecommendation, Peeps Pepsi.
I was actually surprised that Travis didn't like it, but he didn't hate it as much as I did. I took one sip and was like, "This is undrinkable." It tastes like artificial marshmallow. Surprise, I know.
Oh.
And then it's just like the sweetest thing I've ever tasted. I think I told you that it rivaled the cotton candy burrito in sweetness, and like the sweetest thing I've ever eaten.
We are never eating a cotton candy burrito again. I feel confident in saying that.
Yeah, no, it's not gonna happen.
And I'm never gonna drink a Peeps Pepsi.
Wouldn't recommend it. I'm
I
glad I didn't buy the mini cans. I just got a bottle.
Well, there you go.
So maybe if they, I think they only make it in regular, but if they had like a diet Peeps Pepsi, maybe it wouldn't be so sweet. I don't know.
It probably
be
worse because
just
it
as
takes
bad.
like the artificial sweetener taste.
Yeah, I think you're right.
I would like to do a special plug for our Patreon. People may not be aware that we have different tiers. I don't know that we've talked about it in a while, but if you give $5 a month, you get a digital coloring sheet every month.
Nice.
And I really was happy with our latest coloring sheet that went out in February. That was money that I counterfeited during the purge. So if you've ever wanted to color fake money with Robert Stack's photo on it, you're going to need to give us $5. And then you get all of our coloring sheets ever, which I think is like 50 now, which is ridiculous. And then at our top tier, the super duper mystery solvers, that's $10 a month. And I know that sounds like a lot, but not only do you get the free episode, the coloring sheet, a sticker sheet, a postcard from us, you get all the stuff that other people get. You also get quarterly gifts. And our most recent gift was a die cut bumper sticker that said "Keep Barking" in the Barbie font. And I just think they came out so cute.
They did. I really love mine.
And I'm working on something special for the next, things that are going to start going out next month. And I'm very excited about it. So I don't know if you want to get in on that level. I know it's some money, but you do get cool stuff. Lots of stickers. We've done a notebook for writing your Mothman romance novel. We've done glow in the dark badges that say 5 out of 5 Robert Stacks. Actually, a little thing that went out with that "Keep Barking" bumper sticker was a temporary tattoo that said "Stack" in a heart that you can put on your bicep and look real tough. So it's just all the best things is what I'm saying.
I mean, definitely.
Okay, so now we're gonna wrap it up. So definitely, sign up for our Patreon. Blah blah blah. Where you do some social media, I don't know. You should definitely download and follow me and follow us at Repod, because that is the app that gives us money. So we love them. And it's also the only podcast listening app where you can make comments for like timestamped things and make little clips. And I think it's so fun. And also you should just go there and talk to me because I'm bored. And oh my God, we need more 5-star reviews.
Yes.
Think how sad we are every day when we wake up and we don't read your 5-star review. That's not fair. It's not right.
We need some more.
Absolutely. And we only accept 5-star reviews. So if you were thinking about giving us they were like, I like this podcast, but it's not my favorite 4. No. Put that in a 5-star review.
Have you already reviewed us? Get your mom's phone. Sign her up for an iTunes account.
Yeah. Just do it again. Do it again with someone else's phone.
Do the work.
Go to the mall. Tell someone you have an emergency. You need to use their phone, and then review our podcast. Say, oh my God, I'm all out of bars. I'm so sorry. Can I please use your phone? It's really important. And
You're not lying.
Yeah,
it is
exactly.
really important.
Exactly. And they'll be like, oh God, I guess. Okay. And they like stand you there and they tap their foot while they watch you, but they're watching you go 5 stars. Liz and Samantha are the funniest podcasters out there. I only wish they made even more episodes. Like every single one is a gem, that kind of thing.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah. Is there anything else you wanted to ask?
I think you've covered it all.
You're like, please stop talking. And I will. Keep barking. Goodbye.
All right, keep barking.